Okay, so just a very brief explanation as to what or why and what I've changed. The reason I've changed how I'm doing things is I think I've explained, but it's partly I just wanted to do things slightly differently. I wanted to use some slightly lower time frames for my PA for my entries and things like that. Really to get more trades, make life a bit more interesting, and just uh, ideally make more money for less effort, which is what this it should. For me, this is what it should always be about. And nothing has actually changed in terms of the price action. Price actions, order flow concepts never ever change. Rejection will always be the same. And I've been over what rejection is. Nothing that never changes. Compression never changes. Nothing is different. This is just really a routine change, but using all the same PA, the same sort of concepts that we've looked at over the last few months. Now, I thought I'd just show you some practical examples of how this actually works. We'll look at Euro Sterling, and just for a bit of fun, I'll just show you. This was a trade actually. Pretty sure I went through. Now, everyone should be able to see this price approach scenario. But it was the important thing here is obviously we've got a weekly demand zone, and that would tell you where price was likely to find buyers and where to be looking to actually get into a trade, for price to move up to the first untested supply, which was here. So by pre-marking zones, obviously it means that you can be better prepared. In this case, it was what the trade was. It was, I think, H4, but the quite often it'll mean that you can use really low time frames, get some very fast trades, and I'll just go through what we've got going on here, and I'm going to go back through what you should already know, and which is the basics of how do we trade rejection from an SD zone. So price hits this daily demand zone. It's not very pretty, but it's this is clearly, this supply is clearly acting as demand, and prices hit it here. Next thing we do is find the first opposing supply. Now the first opposing supply will always be either an FB level, so a swing low, or it will be the supply that led to the last low. And we just drop down through the time frames until we find one of those two things on the highest time frame possible. So we drop to H4. What can we see? Not very much. That's not a swing low. It's just a spike down on this time frame. And you can already see that there is a sort of rally-based drop there. So that's probably going to be the first opposing supply. But it doesn't really look like a proper supply zone on this time frame. But if we drop to H1, it's pretty obvious. If I looked at H2, I think it would look perfect that is the first opposing supply. And so, having identified the first opposing supply, I just want to see it consumed, and then I take my entry. Now, this is for those of you who know your SDCs and stuff like that will know that this was a very clear SR break and retest, like that. So nice and simple. Okay, we'll now look at another one, which is a bit later on in the same day. Price came down, tested this H4 flip, and so we will drop time frames until we can find, let's get rid of that, just tidy things up, until we can find a first. Ooh, first opposing supply. Again, either a swing low, well, we can't see a swing low, or we want to find the supply that led to the lowest low. And in fact, we have to drop the whole way to M1, and we get to M1, and we can see the rally base drop that led to the lowest low. And so then it's what sort of trade are we going to be using? Well, in this case, it's going to be a QM. And so we'd have something like that with a target somewhere up here, like that. Okay, so price consumes first opposing supply, drops, tests, and moves up. So, we're using M1 PA into an H4 trade. Now, there is obviously an argument. I don't really want to go into this right now, but there is an argument that, yes, this is the first target, but you could be running it a lot further. But I don't want to go into that now, because that does complicate things. And I just want to reinforce the principles that you should already know about price action trading, in terms of what to do when price hits an SD zone. We'll look at another one. I don't know if I've still got this zone marked. No, let's look at it on my blog. It's easier. Aussie. Price hits this rally base drop supply here. So the first thing we want to do is find the first opposing demand, which will be either an FB level or it'll be demand that led to the highest high, whichever comes first on as you go down through your time frame. So we dropped to M30. It's very clear we've got an FB level there. So that's the first opposing demand. Because it's an FB level, we're looking for an FB which forms, and then we get because we've got compression there, we get the move down. Now, if you're just trading this or looking at price action from a scenario point of view, you'd have looked at M30 and you'd have seen this is a price approach scenario. We've got pole, we've got the compression, price slowing as it gets towards supply, then we get the FB entry and down. So point I'm making is nothing's changed. It doesn't matter whether you can either do it the way that I've shown here, or you could be just looking at it on a blank chart and see this price action happening and know what's going to happen next. But the important thing is you need to work out for yourself which way you want to go. One of the people that in our group I know is really happy with looking for price action, for the scenarios that we've been through, rather than going through the rigmarole of pre-marking SDs and all this sort of stuff. I can't tell you which way will work best for you. I've decided I want to go this way. That doesn't mean anyone else has to go this way. But it can mean you can get some quite interesting trades. This is one we looked at with QMs. I've explained why I didn't take this, which is a mistake on my part. But again, sorry, let's just go back to here. Price has hit supply. What's the first thing we do? Find the first opposing demand. It's either going to be a swing high, which would lead us to be trading an FB, or it's going to be demand that led to the highest high. In this case, it's demand that led to the highest high, which gets consumed, and we get a QM trade set up for the move down to there. Then here, price hits demand. Again, we need to be looking for either a swing high, swing low for first opposing supply for an FB, or we need to be looking at supply that led to the lowest low. In this case, there's supply that led to the lowest low, and we get a wedge break and retest. I haven't been through these yet, and I will go through them at some point. It's laziness on my part. I simply don't have enough of a library of these, and I would prefer to be able to give you guys, maybe 10 or 20 examples, so that you can you've got the basis to start your own library of setups. But hopefully some of you will realise that actually this could easily be, if price had been coming from here like this, you'd be looking at this and saying, oh, that's an SDC trade. It's the same PA, but we've got price coming down into demand and reversing. But equally, if price had come up into supply and formed this, you'd have the same thing happening. So it's the same PA, it's just either using it as reversal or as continuation. Some of you that will probably make sense, others might not get that, but don't worry, I will go into it in more detail. But anyone who's been trading SDCs should be able to trade basically the SDC PA as rejection PA when you're looking for reversals. Let's see what we've got going on here. Well, here's a great one. You're probably not going to have all your charts set to M5, so you would have missed this FB if you were just looking at M30. But if you had, as I did, had my M30 chart marked up, you've got this pretty insignificant looking SD flip zone here, but price hits it. So the first thing I'm doing is I drop time frames until I can find either a swing low, which will be the first opposing supply, or supply that led to the lowest low. Well, if I drop time frames, in fact, let's just look at it quickly on here as we're so here's that flip. So I drop time frames. Well, the first thing I see obviously is this, but for me that's not really a swing low. That's more of a spike down and then up. I'd be looking at on M5. It's more of a fractal here, more of a V shape, and so this is going to be the first opposing supply, which means obviously it's an FB level, which means we're going to be trading an FB and then bang. So that's all it is. I mean, as I say, you should all know the basic principle of rejection PA trading, which is you've got to find the first opposing supply demand. It will either be, as I say, an FB level, or it will be the supply or demand that led to the highest high or the lowest low. And you should know how to do that by now. I sincerely hope you do. And that's really it. As I say, you don't have to go this way. This is just the way I've decided I want to go. And as I say, you can stick with just looking for scenarios, or you can do things this way. This is just more, as I say, probably more optimal, because it just means I'm using lower time frames a lot more, which means there are potentially more trades. I mean, I've got 6 pairs and identified 23 trades over Thursday and Friday, which is obviously probably too many trades, but it just means that my days are more enjoyable and I don't have to be around so much, because it's quicker to hit my sort of mental targets for the day. But that's it. I don't think there's anything else to say really. Just ask questions if you like, but let me just stress one more time, nothing has actually changed in terms of price action. Okay, it's all the same as it always was. As an example, going back to Euro Sterling, if you're still trading this sort of scenario-based stuff, then I would imagine you'll open this H4 chart probably on Tuesday or Wednesday, and you will probably by then have a nice flag have formed like that. I may be wrong, but I think that's probably what's going to happen. And so, great, you'll trade it as a flag. The only difference between what you're doing and what I'm doing is I'll have this H4 flip marked, and so I will be actually expecting price to hit here because it's a flag. I'll be looking for an FB most likely. So I'll be more prepared, I suppose, in some ways for where the flag is going to actually kick off from. So yeah, but as I say, nothing's changed. Flags SDCs, compression, everything is as it was. It's just I'm just changing my routine slightly.